A small child is living in a village next to a deep, dark forest. One day, the child went to the forest searching for herbs for his mother and got lost. Deep in the heart of a dark and mysterious forest lived a little boy named Finn. He was only 5 years old, and he lived with his mom and dad in a small village at the edge of the woods. One sunny afternoon, Finn's mom fell ill, and he was sent into the forest to gather some herbs to help with her cold. "Be careful, Finn," said his dad. "The woods can be dangerous. Don't go too far." But young Finn was excited to help his mother and promised to be careful before skipping off into the trees. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the trees grew darker and more twisted, and Finn started to feel a little scared. He called out for his father, but only the sound of his own voice echoed back to him. Suddenly, a strange noise made him jump. It was a beautiful yet eerie sound, like nothing he had ever heard before. And it seemed to be coming from right behind a large tree. Curious, Finn decided to investigate. As he peeked around the tree, what he saw made him gasp. In front of him was a clearing, and inside the clearing was a sight that took his breath away. There in the middle of the clearing was a beautiful fairy, no bigger than Finn's hand. She had delicate wings that shimmered like 1,000 stars, and her dress was made of flowers and leaves. But what truly captivated Finn was the magic wand she held in her tiny hands. It glowed with a soft light and seemed to pulse with power. "Hello there," the fairy said, in a voice as sweet as bird song. "What brings you to my clearing?" Finn, still in awe of the fairy's beauty, stammered, I was just gathering herbs for my mother. I'm Finn." The fairy smiled. "I am Fladay, and this is my magic wand. Would you like to see a magic trick?" Finn, eager to escape the loneliness of the dark forest, nodded excitedly. Flyday waved her magic wand, and poof, a small cottage appeared before them. It was cozy and inviting, with a thatched roof and smoke curling from its chimney. "Wow," breathed Finn, completely enchanted by the fairy and her magic. "Come with me," Fladay said, extending her hand. "We'll take care of it." Overjoyed at the prospect of his mother being healed, and grateful for the fairy's kindness, Finn took her hand, and together they flew to the cottage. As soon as they arrived, Flyday began preparing a healing potion for Finn's mother. While she worked, Finn explored the cottage. It was filled with all sorts of magical trinkets and toys. He'd hardly believe his luck. He had stumbled upon a real fairy, and she had taken him to her magical cottage. It was like something out of a storybook. Suddenly, Flyday turned to Finn and said, "I need your help. This potion requires a special ingredient, and you are just the helper I need." She explained that she needed a single tear from someone who loved her in order to complete the potion. And who could love her more than Finn? After all, he had become her friend so quickly. Without hesitation, Finn leaned in and gave her a big hug. "I love you, Fladay," he whispered, and a single tear rolled down his cheek. Fladay wiped the tear from her eye and placed it in the potion. The potion glowed brightly, and then in the blink of an eye, it vanished. With a final wave of her magic wand, Flyday transformed into a beautiful white dove and fluttered out the window. As she flew over the forest, she kept glancing back at the cottage. Something about leaving Finn alone in the woods didn't sit right with her. Just then she heard a familiar sound, the sweet tinkling of a music box. Startled, she followed the sound until she came across a clearing. And what she saw made her blood run cold. In the center of the clearing stood a tall, menacing figure. It was a fairy, but unlike Flyday, this one was clearly evil. Her skin was as dark as night, and her wings were leathery and huge. Her dress was made of shadows, and her eyes glowed red in the dim light. In her hand she held a staff that seemed to writhe like a living creature, and from the tip of the staff streamed tendrils of darkness that wrapped around the trees and enveloped them in shadows. Before Flyday could react, the dark fairy raised her staff and pointed it at the dove. "So, you have come at last?" she hissed. "I have been waiting for you." Flyday knew that she was no match for this powerful witch. But she couldn't just stand by and watch as she destroyed everything she had worked so hard to protect, summoning all her strength. Flyday swooped down and dive-bombed the witch, raking her claws down the witch's face. The witch shrieked in pain and surprise. Flyday used the distraction to fly over to Finn, who was still sitting in the cottage, oblivious to the danger that lurked outside. She landed on his shoulder and frantically tried to wake him up. "Finn, you have to wake up," she whispered urgently. "There's no time to lose." But Finn just turned over and and snuggled deeper into his blanket. Flyday knew she couldn't wake him up, so she did something desperate. She pecked him hard on the neck. Startled by the pain, Finn opened his eyes and gasped when he saw the dove perched on his shoulder. But before he could ask any questions, Flyday spoke urgently. "There is no time to explain," she said. "You must come with me." Taking a deep breath, Finn nodded and followed the dove out of the cottage. As they approached the clearing, Flyday could feel the darkness closing in on them. She knew she wouldn't be able to protect Finn forever. She had to get him to safety. Just then, she heard the witch's voice echoing through the trees. "So, you bring the child to me willingly," she said. "Good." The witch took a step forward, and the shadows around her seemed to writhe and twist. "Now, with both the child and the dove here, my power will be complete. No one can stop me now." As the witch raised her staff to strike the killing blow, Flyday dove in front of Finn, shielding him with her body. Flyday Finn cried out, horrified at the thought of losing his new friend. The witch sneered. "Foolish little dove, you cannot defeat me." She raised her staff, ready to deliver the final blow. Flyday closed her eyes tight and waited for the end, but it never came. Instead, she heard a loud crack and a voice that boomed like thunder. "That is enough." Startled, Flyday opened her eyes and looked up. She saw a tall figure standing in front of her. It was another fairy, but this one was majestic and powerful. Her wings were vast and shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. Her dress was spun from moonlight and starlight, and her magic wand glowed brightly in her hand. "Who are you?" the dark fairy demanded, her voice dripping with venom. "I am Luna," the good fairy replied, "and I won't allow you to harm these children. You are a disgrace to all fairies." With that, she raised her magic wand and unleashed a bolt of pure white magic. The dark fairy screamed as the magic struck her, causing her to shrink and wither away until she was nothing but a pile of dust. The good fairy turned to Finn and offered him a gentle smile. "Are you all right, young one?" she asked. Nodding, Finn stepped out from behind Flyday, who was now back in her fairy form. "Thank you for saving us," he said. Luna looked down at the dove in her hand and smiled. "Awesome. Back to me," she said softly. She waved her magic wand and poof, the dove vanished, reappearing. "I am so glad you are all right," Flyday said, hugging Finn tightly. Then she turned to the good fairy. "Thank you for saving us, Luna," she said. "Nothing," Luna replied with a wave of her magic wand. She created a small broom out of twigs and leaves. "Hop on," she told Flyday. "I will take you back to your village." Flyday nodded and climbed onto the broom. Together they flew high above the forest, leaving the troubles of the woods far behind them. As they approached the village, Flyday could see the worried faces of her family searching for her. She waved to them from the sky, and they waved back, their faces breaking into smiles. Flyday knew that she would never forget her adventure with Finn or the brave fairy who had saved them. As she flew back to her cottage, she couldn't help but wonder what other magical adventures awaited her in the mysterious forest. From that day on, the fairies and the villagers lived in harmony, protecting each other and working together to keep the forest safe and balanced. And although the dark fairy was gone, the memory of her evil lingered, reminding them all that the battle between good and evil was never truly over.